Welcome to Primetime, everybody. We are back. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
Ho, ho, ho.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You
That was-
filthy animal.
I love that. That's amazing. So, yes, we are doing our Christmas episode, our very first Christmas episode of Welcome to Primetime. This one is our favorite Christmas horror movies. There are quite a few of them
Oh, yeah.
out there. A lot of them are not good, but some of them are really good. Most of them are cheesy, but we will get to those very, very soon. So I've got 5 of my favorites. Chad and Carrie are just going to kind of, I guess you guys have 5, or you guys just going to bring them up as we go
But
along?
no, we'll each say
Yeah.
5. I might say mine might not, in trying to avoid a little bit of overlap. Maybe mine won't be like, maybe I'll throw in one or two like ones that maybe aren't actually in my top 5, but are like fun little shout outs.
All right.
But like,
It's up
yeah,
to you. Or
I
you
guess
could just
so, or
go
I
with
could
what
just go
you
with-
think is the best, or your favorite.
yeah.
Whatever
That's
you want to
true.
do. It's up to you.
So yeah, pretty much it's gonna be a relaxed episode. We're just gonna talk about some Christmas horror films. Back in the day, if you tried to make a Christmas horror film, you would have gotten so much hate for it, man. Some of these are like these stories that I've heard of like different horror movies based around Christmas time, and it's just like the uh, the outpour of emotions by people when you put Santa Claus or anything in a horror film. It's kind of risky. Nowadays, maybe not so much, but back in the day, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you like dip into religion, but I could see Santa Claus like, kind of having that kind of effect as well on people. Everybody's trying to get outraged about something even today, but back in the day, I'm sure as well. It's a good point. But Christmas horror is still very fun.
It is indeed very fun. So let's start with everybody's top or number 5 on their list. Carrie, we will start with you.
Oh.
Ooh, okay. Well, I
We're
know. I
starting-
want to kind of look at that list
we're
to give me
starting back.
ideas.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course we're starting back. That's
I don't
how
know
you do
why
it.
I thought we would start with number 1, and I was like, let's just go to my favorite. We'll figure out the others later.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna go with for my number 5. I'm gonna go with Rare Exports. This is a Finnish Christmas horror movie. I don't know. It's about like I don't want to spoil anything, so it's a little hard to describe, but it's about basically these like American entrepreneurs are digging. I think it's in Finland, but maybe it's actually in Norway or Denmark. They're trying to find Santa Claus, and it looks like they may have found him. But meanwhile, there's a community of folks in the surrounding area that kind of have to deal with the consequences of this, because maybe Santa Claus isn't in that tradition isn't the happy, jolly Santa we know and love. So it's a really fun movie. It kind of stars this young boy who kind of figures everything out, and I don't know, it's a cool movie. I really like the ending, like kind of really pays off. So that's the one I wanted to throw out first.
Okay, Chad, any thoughts on that movie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rare Exports is really interesting. I like that it like kind of starts out as like, Santa Claus isn't like necessarily the thing that we come to know and love. It, in fact, it might be like kind of some sort of like something to be afraid of, like something kind of mythological that you would read in myth, and you wouldn't go like, oh, joy, you would cower in fear. And I think that's kind of, a big thing that Christmas horror is kind of like, you take everything that people want to see in a Christmas movie and you kind of just turn it on its head a little bit. and you're like, no, Santa's not happy and go lucky and joyful. He's fearful, or you're supposed to be afraid of him. Or you take a family thing and then your family's getting murdered or something like that. I think like this, I didn't spoil anything there for those aren't plot points that I was describing, but but this one does a really good job of like keep you guessing about like this kind of mystery that they have because they've dug underground and you don't know what's under there, and you just have like this kid who's like the protagonist who's like, I've heard in myth of what Santa will do if you're bad, and stuff like that, and and so like the kids are just really terrified of doing anything wrong like in a really and then they just kind of start disappearing. So yeah, it's a really cool mystery, really interesting movie. I think it's good. But yeah, I understand why Carrie would put this like number 5.
Yeah, I really have nothing to say. I've never seen this film. I've never even heard of this film, so
It's
I will
called
definitely have to check it out.
Rare Exports: A Christmas Story, I think. I think it is. But yeah,
Okay.
Carrie had a really good point where she said that the ending kind of like pays off.
Okay, I might have to check that one out. Do you guys know if it's streaming anywhere?
Rare Exports. I believe we watched it on Hulu, maybe,
Oh.
or Peacock. I think it might be on Peacock currently.
All right, sweet. All right, so we'll move on to Chad with his number 5.
They go to me for my number 5. I'm not prepared for this. I should have been prepared. All right, I'm gonna go with something that Carrie and I watched. She knows because I just scrolled to it.
But I also didn't pick that one because I thought you would pick it.
Okay. Yeah. This one is something that I might have to watch more to think if it's like actually brilliant or not. But it's something called Red Snow. This is it's interesting because it feels kind of like a very low budget kind of movie, but it really works. I think because the way it looks is nothing crazy special, but the writing is really fun. Basically, what happens toward the beginning is there's this woman. She's writing. She writes like vampire fiction, I think, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's obsessed with vampires, vampire lore and culture. And then all of a sudden, she has to nurse this bat that gets injured back to health. And it turns out it's a vampire bat. And so, the bat turns into a vampire, and then she forms like this relationship with them. And it's actually really funny. So it's a horror comedy. There is some like gruesome stuff, I remember. So it does have both horror and comedy, and it blends the two very well. And it just like feels really unique. So I didn't know what to expect because I was just trying to cram a lot of Christmas horror in earlier in the month. And then I was like, pleasantly surprised with this one because it just felt like the writing was really clever, really funny. The dialogue that they had back and forth talking about just like vampire fiction and tropes of vampires and like the whole thing, kind of like what you might get in Buffy when you run into something you go, actually that's a myth about vampires, that's kind of offensive, something like that. So that's kind of like the similar humor that this movie has. So I really enjoyed this one.
Carrie, go ahead.
Yeah, I also really like this one. If you're into horror comedies, this is definitely one to check out. It's pretty funny, and it's a great one to put on for the holidays because it's Christmas themed.
All right, I'm definitely gonna have to check this one out again.
Oh yeah,
because I have never seen it. You guys are pulling out some movies
Deep
I've never
cuts.
seen.
We're trying to pull out some deep cuts, I think.
Nice, some deep cuts. I like it. All right, so I believe it's on to me.
Yeah.
My number 5 is gonna be kind of obvious because if you can tell by my name, Garbage Day. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Right.
I have so much fun with this movie, man. Every year I put it on for like Christmas Eve, and it's so fun. So pretty much, if you guys don't know, it follows Ricky Caldwell, the brother of Billy Chapman from the first movie, and his own trauma regarding his parents' Christmas Eve murders, which triggers his own killing spree. So yeah, that's pretty much the plot summary without getting into too much spoilers. This movie's bonkers. This movie's insane. It's got some funny ass lines, some funny ass imagery. Of course, the great garbage day line comes from it before someone gets shot, which always gets a laugh out of me. So yeah, my number 5 is Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that movie. We just watched it for the first time this year. And I think it was last year we watched for the first time, or maybe the year before for the first time we watched the first one, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Luckily, we did not try to watch them back to back because you should not. Because the first 45 minutes of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 is just a recap of the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a really fun movie because you get a lot of the good parts from the first one, but you also just get this. And I think the first one is maybe the better movie. But, part 2 is just so off the wall. It's really, really fun.
Chad?
I mean, I'm like more middling on this one. I can understand why somebody would put it like, number 4, but really enjoy it because, it does have that kind of campy vibe to it, naughty,
Naughty.
like that. And, the classic garbage day. And then the acting, the performance of it is really weird. And I think that it's what makes it so interesting. And you're just like, what the hell is this? And just like when he's just like, he'll do like his garbage day line and then he'll, just go, ha, 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 and then he'll have like a really serious, angry face. And you're just like, what is this performance?
All over the place.
I think maybe if it was more of that, it would have been even better, I think. Just like that guy. But like, it goes back to like the past and like, shows a lot of what the first movie does. So yeah, I don't think this is a good movie, but it's like one of those, like The Room, where I don't think it's as fun as The Room, but it's one of those where you can watch it, have a really good time because it's so weirdly bad and just interesting to watch and fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny enough, there are like 5 or 6 of these movies, including a remake from 2012. Like, it's a weird like holiday franchise all of a sudden. Like part 3 and 4 have nothing to do with part 1 and 2. It's its own thing, and then it spins off into something else with the remake. It's really weird. All right, Carrie, we on to you for your number 4.
Okay, for my number 4, I'm gonna go with Santa's Sleigh, and this is a movie with Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, and he's Santa, but he's not a good Santa, and he is so fucking funny in this movie. There is a plot to follow, but mostly it's just like enjoying the ridiculousness that is Bill Goldberg's Santa. So definitely another, I guess, going with horror comedy. Well, what was my first one? I don't remember now. Oh, Rare Exports. It wasn't Rare Exports. But yeah, it's another horror comedy. I guess we've kind of done a few of those in a row, but they're so fun. And it's a good one to throw on, kind of like in the spirit of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Like, I think if you like that, you would like Santa's Sleigh.
Move, bitch. Yeah. Get out the way. Chad?
Yeah, I think this is like really interesting because it's very short, but I think that's what's really good about it is like it's just like this quick, insane movie. I definitely like this one more than the last one that was mentioned, even though it's kind of similar about a Santa Claus just going mayhem all over everybody. But like I think like the way things are framed are sometimes really great. Like the opening scene or whatever, where they're just having like a dinner and then all of a sudden he just pops in there and just starts just killing everybody and like throwing like a doesn't he throw like a ninja star into somebody or something? Or it's
Yeah,
probably
he impels somebody with a the 12 candle
I was
thing.
about to say like a menorah. I was about
A
to
menorah.
say it's like something like holiday themed that he impales them with, which like is just insane and just hilarious. And yeah, the fact that it's like this big, huge, imposing wrestler guy, and he does a really good job of showing being that is just amazing. Like the way that scene's structured, it just like catches you off guard, and then like from there you're just like, holy crap! And I'm actually afraid of this guy. Like I was never afraid of the last guy in the movie. Just like I would laugh. But like this guy, like I'm terrified. Like if he shows up, like I'm like someone's dying right now. And then one of my favorite part is that part with the really old lady who's so angry, and she just goes into like this bakery or whatever, and she's just a piece of shit to everybody. And then she leaves, like flicks them off, and then she goes to driving really slow in her car, and then he pulls up in a sleigh like behind her because I guess he just drives on the road in the sleigh.
Yeah, with the sleigh.
Move, bitch! Get out the way! And it's just so funny because he's so frustrated, and then he just like knocks her off the road.
There are so many funny lines in this movie, man. Like, Grandpa got run over by a reindeer.
There's also kind of a cute little story about like a kid and his I think grandpa or something.
Yeah.
It's something I can't remember the exact like plot. Like
so his grandpa is like I'm gonna guess an angel who like lost or
there is something like that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Beat Santa in like a game of like croquet or something.
I guess spoiler alert for it because this is something that's like revealed a little bit, but yeah, it's it does have an interesting story. It's not like Silent Night, Deadly Night, where it's just kind of like someone gets traumatized and they go around killing people. Like it actually has a thing. It's just Santa's the villain and he's like the threat or whatever. But yeah, it's really fun. It's really good, I think, or it's at least decent.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. By the way, I rewatched it recently, and guess who is in the opening scene as the father?
Oh, I don't know. I think I remembered at one point. Just tell me.
It is James Caan.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
James Caan is in this movie.
Yeah.
I think that was a year after Elf, or maybe
Walter
2 years
Hobbs.
after Elf. So that was probably some nice stunt casting.
Oh man, I saw him and I was like, I totally forgot James Caan was in this movie. Like it surprised me, but yeah, as someone who is a huge wrestling fan, just to see Goldberg as Santa Claus is something I never thought I'd see. And then I watched it and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I want. He spears somebody through a glass at the deli, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I think of Goldberg as Santa. There you go. There it is. Definitely a very fun movie. All right, so I believe we move on to Chad next, correct?
Correct. I'll go with one. I actually really like this one, but like it's not one that I would say is like one of the best movies ever made. P2. I didn't know, like I had heard of P2 like for a long time, never watched it, didn't know it was a Christmas movie, found out this year it's a Christmas movie. We decided to watch it and it was really interesting. Basically it's kind of simple, but it's like a woman who just wants to she's at work and she just wants to get out of the building to go visit her family for the holidays. And there's like this like crazy like guard that kind of traps her in there. And his whole deal is that he just wants her to like spend the holidays with him. It seems like that's all he really wants. And he's just unhinged. He sees like things that have happened like in the workplace, and he tries to like punish people in kind of like that, I guess, Santa kind of way.
Naughty.
And it gets really intense. Like there's this like, one guy, and just like the way, I don't want to, I guess I don't want to spoil like what happens, but like it gets really brutal, and you get very conflicted because you're like, maybe somebody deserves some sort of repercussions for something, but not that kind of a deal. Also, so this is also, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's like the photographer guy from American Beauty, who's
Wes
the villain.
Bentley.
Thank you. He is kind of amazing in this because he's so unhinged, but he thinks that he's not really even doing anything wrong. Like he just wants to, he's like a true like kind of sociopath or psychopath or whatever, where he just like wants her to be there with him. He doesn't even think he's like doing anything. Like he thinks he's righteous in everything he's doing and stuff like that. And there's a brilliant scene of him singing Blue Christmas by Elvis, and he does it in an amazing impersonation. It's the second best second best. Okay, third best impersonation of Elvis, not including Austin Butler, because that's, well, I guess including Austin Butler.
Oh,
okay,
you're making this way too complicated.
Hold on. You got Patrick Wilson in The Conjuring 2, which I love because it's just him singing. It's not him like impersonating, but he does sing it in that great Elvis fashion. And then you have Bruce Campbell and Bubba Hotep. So you have that as well. And then you have Wes Bentley. But then you also have Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And then what was the other one? I guess it was Austin Butler as Elvis. So yeah, anyways, it's a really great impersonation. He sings really, really good. And it was one of the highlights of my Christmas horror watch when he sang that. I thought it was amazing.
All right, Carrie, thoughts about this movie?
Yeah, this is a really good one.
What's your Elvis impersonation ranking? Psych, go ahead. Sorry.
Don't have one. Very good. It's pretty high tension the whole time. And it gets really gory. So I'd say if you enjoy any kind of like, I would say it's kind of similar in a vein to like a home invasion horror movie, or like anything really where you kind of have someone trying to escape a killer for the entire movie. And it's also Christmas themed. So, and there's a decent amount of Christmas stuff in it. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another one that I'm about to check out because I've never seen this film.
Nice.
I'm getting really like repetitive with like I've never seen this film.
I'm sorry. We're trying to like think of ones that like aren't as
well. Also,
or at least I
before this year, we hadn't seen a lot of these. These are recent watches.
Yeah. For the most part, I would say we actually started the year watching any Christmas horror the year we both got COVID in 2020, because we're just like, guess we'll watch Christmas horror movies because we can't be with our families.
Why not? Yeah. I definitely have to watch a lot more Christmas horror. I just kind of watch horror throughout the year, so it's usually just all types of horror. Like I'm doing a Scream marathon for Christmas leading up to Christmas Eve, so.
Nice.
I just finished Scream 2, so got a few more days to go. All right, back to me. My number 4 is going to be an obvious one. It's Gremlins. I love Gremlins. I've only seen it a few times, though. It's not one that's on constant rotation for me, but like just the atmosphere feels Christmas. Like the story revolves around someone getting Gizmo as a gift for Christmas, so it's kind of a great mix of like a Christmas like holiday movie, and then it's got your kind of horror with like the creature features and things like that. Yeah, I just think this movie is brilliant. It's fun. It's kind of terrifying at some points, especially depending on what age you watch it. So yeah, Gremlins is number 4. Carrie?
I love Gremlins. It definitely terrified me when I was a kid, and someone thought that was an appropriate movie to put on. I think Gizmo is so cute. It also can be a pretty scary movie, and it's just one of the most fun movies ever. Like it's just a pleasure to watch.
Chad?
Yeah, Gremlins is fantastic. This could probably be my number one because I just think this movie's so incredibly made. It feels like a Spielberg movie. I think he like maybe produced it. I think he produced this one. So it feels so incredible. Joe Dante crushed it. I think. I love Phoebe Cates. I can't remember who plays the main guy, but like, yeah, I mean it's a guy buying a present for his kid, but he goes to like a back alley, like kind of like Chinese like shop, and finds the Mogwai, and then they don't really follow the rules, and then mayhem ensues. But I love like the little plots too about like how the one Phoebe Cates' character hates Christmas because her dad died in a chimney. Gizmo wearing the Christmas hat is really adorable, and I think Gizmo is like probably the cutest like character ever, to be honest. He's just so adorable. He sings. In the sequel, he's also like really cool. He like turns into Rambo at one point. It's just like,
I gotta watch the sequel.
The sequel's even better.
They should make more Gremlins movies because I just want to see Gizmo and like more.
I think they're doing a reboot soon.
That would be fantastic.
I'd
love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sequel I like even more just because it's so freaking crazy and meta and just like all over the place. And like they even like make fun of the original Gremlins in Gremlins 2. Any like little thing where people are like making fun of the rules and scenarios in Gremlins, they actually make fun of that in Gremlins too. But yeah, the original Gremlins is where it all started. It's scary because when they actually start to become gremlins, they're terrifying, and then they kill people, and then they get killed in really gruesome ways. But yeah, it's also very sweet and charming, and it's kind of like another version of E.T. if E.T. were super scary. Yeah, I love it. I think it blends Christmas, Halloween, horror, and all that stuff together very, very well. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So now we move back over to Carrie with her number 3.
Okay. I don't know if I'd be taking any from Chad.
You choose whatever you have.
Okay. If they overlap, It's fine. I'll say Anna and the Apocalypse for my number 3. This is a zombie Christmas musical. And it's really, really good. I think a lot of the songs are really catchy, like the dance numbers, especially the one where like the two main characters are walking through like the graveyard to school. And it's like, I don't know, they could have gone kind of like a happier direction with this. This one actually like turns out really, really freaking sad. I definitely have cried during it. But it's really good. If you enjoy musicals at all, definitely check this one out.
Yeah, Anna and the Apocalypse is really interesting. I tried to watch it again and really, really like it. I really want to like this one a lot because I like the music. I like the choreography. I like, the style. I mean, I love horror. I love Christmas. I love musicals. This one could have just been one of my most favorite things ever, but I don't care that much about the story. And maybe I'm just not watching it right, but like I still really just don't care about the story all that much. However, I do think the songs are brilliant, and I think the style is so good. Like Kara's describing them walking, they kind of pull a Shaun of the Dead a little bit, where they're like, they're walking and singing, and people are dying and being brutalized behind them, but they're completely unaware. And it's like really funny and cool and interesting. And yeah, the music's just really good. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. People like really love this movie, but I just can't love like the story for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. I've never seen this movie. But looking up on Google, it seems like right down my fucking alley, man. Like,
Check it out.
it looks like it's just so much fun because, like, I love musicals. Like, I'm a huge, like, fan of music just in general. Um, and if something like can incorporate great music into a story, then I'm there for it. So very tempting to watch this one. I may watch it tonight.
Nice.
Actually,
Oh,
I'll try to find it tonight. See if I can watch it.
it's fun.
All right, so we move back over to Chad for his number 3.
Oh, right, because you did Gremlins. Okay. Um, so I'm trying to like figure out because we haven't rewatched one of them.
Just go with whatever your
But-
heart wants.
Well, no, I understand that, but I'm just trying to think because there's one that I really like that I just haven't seen in a while, so I can't really talk about it, but I still want to highlight it.
Well,
So I'm going to do that. A Christmas Horror Story, because I think that one, it's an anthology, but like there's a really cool like kind of twist about it. And I don't remember a lot of what happens like throughout, but I remember that the twist was really phenomenal. And it really made me go, oh shit, this is a good movie. Which like it's not like normal, I think, when you're not sure if something's good or not, and then when something really smart happens and recontextualizes everything, you're like, whoa, this whole time. Okay, so I don't want to go into it, but it's really cool in that way. And I don't know, that's why I was hesitating to bring it up, because there's not really much else I can say, but maybe that's a good thing because it does have twists and turns. So I don't know.
yeah. And I think that one of the reasons you were like pleasantly surprised by this is I think we literally just saw it on whatever streaming service we were using, and like we're like, oh, this is a Christmas horror movie, and we were going to try to watch some Christmas horror movies. So
Yeah.
and it could have gone very, very badly.
Like
Either way.
Like the poster looks like it could just be really dumb.
The poster is one of those where like, obviously the studio or like streaming service or something was like, oh, you got to make it look like this. And like it really is not reflective of the movie. But you also get like a fun battle between Santa and Krampus.
One that I'm gonna have to check out. I love anthologies, so anything that adds to the kind of multiple story genre, I'm in for. I'm just adding like new movies to my list as you guys talk, and I'm very excited. But yeah, going off of the like just like searching through streaming services and stuff, that's probably the best way to do it, because like I find the more I get hyped for a movie, the less I end up liking it, which kind of sucks, but just that high anticipation of a movie kind of gets me kind of disappointed easier. Cause like for example, It Follows. I watched that movie like not knowing anything about it, just searching on Netflix, and found it and ended up loving it because I didn't know the reaction it was getting. And then I looked it up and saw that people actually enjoyed it, and there were breakdowns about it and things like that. So it's kind of nice to be like, oh, like Netflix has this random horror movie I've never heard of. Let's watch it, and you just end up loving it.
Yeah, that's a brilliant movie. I love that movie.
All right, I believe it's back to me. I have one that I'm not sure counts, but I'm gonna put it up anyway. My number 3 is A Nightmare Before Christmas.
It counts.
The Nightmare
definitely.
Yes, I love this movie. It's one that I watch every Halloween and every Christmas. It's this one. I just think the perfect blend of like, the horror kind of scary imagery, and then you got the Christmas elements mixing together. It's got brilliant songs. It's got Danny Elfman singing for Jack Skellington. The score is amazing. The whole atmosphere of the film is beautifully drawn and animated, and it's just so much fun that the songs get stuck in my head constantly. Some great characters like the Oogie Boogie Man and Sally. It's just an iconic movie that I absolutely love watching at least twice a year. Carrie?
Yeah, I love that movie. And you can watch it. It's a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie. So you can watch it twice a year. You can watch it in November, or you can watch it really whenever you want because it's such a great movie. Like the music is iconic, the story is iconic. That's another one. Weirdly, I've watched a few of these Christmas horror movies when I was a kid. I guess Nightmare Before Christmas is more of a kids movie, but scared
Acceptable.
the crap out of me when I was a kid. But yeah, I love it.
Chat?
Yeah, this one's really, really great. I just have a really, I have a thing for like stop motion animation, and they really knocked it out of the park. This is an instant classic. Henry Selick crushed this one, and I like his some of his other movies like James and the Giant Peach, which is really great. But yeah, this one, it's one of those just like Gremlins where you can watch it Halloween, you can watch it Christmas, any old time really. But it like makes the perfect kind of blending of the two. Shit, I mean, like they even do like they even have the other doors. You can watch it really any holiday and be like, see, Easter's represented. I'm watching it Easter. And yeah, you know the music by Danny Elfman's fantastic. He plays even sings as Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King. And you know the characters are great. Catherine O'Hara's in it. You know what is there else to say? Yeah, Oogie Boogie's really scary. He kidnapped Santa, which is kind of funny. And then yeah, when everybody's the horror brings the comedy too. Is like when everybody's opening their gifts and it's like creepy shit.
Yeah.
And I just think that's brilliant. Yeah, it's such a great movie. Good pick.
All right, so we move back over to Carrie for her number 2.
Okay. I'm gonna do one that maybe is on your list as well, Hunter. But we'll see. And it's Krampus.
Actually, no, it's not on my list.
Interesting.
Number 6, actually.
Okay. Krampus, it has Adam Scott in it, and it's, you know, about a family that's being terrorized by Krampus and his minions. And it's a fun little Christmas horror movie. Like, it's pretty, I don't know how to describe it, I guess, but there's some really cool parts to it. Seeing all of Krampus's minions is really fun. There's some decently scary bits, so I don't know. It's one that I really enjoy.
It also has Toni Collette. Correct me if I'm
wrong. Does. It does have Toni
Adam
Collette.
Scott as well.
Because they're like married.
Yeah.
Chad?
Krampus. Krampus is really good. I've only seen it once though, so I can't really recall a ton about it. But I do remember that Krampus in the movie is really creepy. They have a lot of like this one really cool scene where someone's walking outside and you know Krampus is jumping on different roofs, but like
rooftops.
The cinematography and the sound design just like is really cool. So they really put in a lot of effort to make this a very creepy movie, but it's also very silly and campy at times. You know, so it's one of those where, there's like really weird, like silly gingerbread men and stuff that pop up. That's really, really interesting. Yeah, I wish I could talk about it more. I think it was a really fun movie, but yeah, that's all I can really say about it.
So, funny enough, the guy who directed this film, Michael Dougherty, also directed probably my favorite Halloween my favorite Halloween movie, Trick or Treat.
Oh, yeah.
Guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so Krampus, interesting film. I'm trying to think why it missed my top 5. Probably because I've only seen it like twice. So it's just like one that I don't really go back to a lot. But I do remember certain scenes that I loved, as Chad brought up, the the Krampus on the rooftop scenes were really well done and well shot. I remember the ending being very weird and like kind of like, is this actually like, are they captured or are they, survive, or is this a dream? Like, it was kind of this weird like fantasy element that I really liked. Yeah, Krampus was actually a very fun movie. I love the design of the Krampus itself. I think it blends a great mix of like terrifying creature, but also kind of like this Christmas Wonderland type look because he's completely white with the horns on the top. It's very, very scary. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie. All right, so we move back over to Chad for his number two.
Okay. I'll go with one that is also kind of a, I don't want to say a stretch, but it's like it's a light horror kind of a deal. But it definitely does hit like with the macabre, and it's definitely a Christmas movie. I'll do Edward Scissorhands,
Ooh.
also a classic. And yeah, I think this is one of Tim Burton's best. Um, I don't know if it's the best, but it's one of the. So maybe it is the best. I don't know. There's a lot of really great ones like Ed Wood and stuff like that. But Edward Scissorhands, it's, well, I think without Ed Wood, it would have been like the first time. It was like the second time, like I think Tim Burton and Johnny Depp were working together, and it became like a match made in heaven, I guess.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's creepy. It's about like an inventor who makes this man with and it's I think he's just supposed to be kind of like a assembly line thing, but then he gives him more like detail and like a, I don't know, he's a living being, and but
Yeah.
then I think he like doesn't finish him or something like
He
that.
dies before he's able to complete him. Yeah.
That's right. And yeah, and so it's really great because it's kind of like a fish out of water thing. Like he comes from like this mansion somewhere else into like the suburbs and lives with his family. And Winona Ryder's pretty great in it, as his like love interest kind of a deal. And it's really fun to see him like poke holes in water beds and try to handle drinks and stuff like that. But there's also like a lot of heart to it. It's creepy because he looks weird. He looks like abnormal and like uncanny valley, not uncanny valley, but like it's just so off. Like you're not expecting someone to have hands like that. So it's kind of off-putting, but he's so sweet and innocent that and even like with Johnny Depp's performances, like when he like does like all these weird sounds and stuff like that. It's pretty great. I like it a lot, especially with like the sets and the use of color and stuff like that. It's like colorful suburbs, and meanwhile Johnny Depp is all black and white, and it's just really cool.
Carrie?
Oh yeah, I love this movie. I wasn't really even thinking about it with Christmas horror, but I think it works. Because there's definitely Christmas in it. And yeah, it is. It's a really sweet movie. And I don't know, it just has some great funny parts, but some really great character moments as well.
Yeah, I really love Edward Scissorhands. Again, I wasn't thinking of that when I was thinking of Christmas horror films. So yeah, it definitely works in this case. I think what's really good about it is that the film doesn't really judge Edward for his, I guess, disability or whatever. Like at first people are like scared of him, but as time goes on, he starts like people start accepting him as he is in the community, and like because it would have been so easy to be like, oh, let's make fun of this guy for his, the way his hands are or whatever. But they really took the time to be like, no, like people are afraid at first because they didn't understand what he was, but then as the film goes on, they start accepting him as who he is into the community, and it's a really great look at like, I guess, communal experiences in people, where it's like, yeah, somebody may be weird and then maybe your neighbor, but if you get to know them more, maybe, that's how communities are built, is communication first.
I mean, at some point, all the women are lining up to have him cut their hair, and
Yeah.
they're like really kind of like attracted to him and stuff like that. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. All right, I believe it's on to me for my number two.
Yeah.
My number two is one that I watched. I try to watch every year. Now, I saw it like a few years ago. Better Watch Out
Okay. All right.
is my number two. I, again, just going through Prime Video, saw this film and was like, oh, you know, this seems interesting. Watched it, absolutely loved it, man. It's got a great mix of like this great comedy and commentary about like the Christmas season, and then a really good home invasion movie with a big twist that I'm not going to ruin, because if people have not watched this movie, they have to go and see it.
Yeah.
It's got some great funny moments, including one with a paint can. Again, not going to ruin it, but that is one of my favorite scenes. Um, I mean, and then at the very beginning, you have the great Patrick Warburton as his father. So this movie is like A plus tier for me, guys. Like, yeah, this movie's really fun.
Yeah. Better Watch Out is like right up there, like as probably my number one. Just because like this movie caught me off guard in multiple ways, because I didn't expect it to be as like good as it is, as creepy as it is, and I didn't expect any twists and turns that may come about. Any kind of like Home Alone references, that may pop up, I think are great. Anytime you can reference Home Alone, I'm gonna love it. Yeah, I mean, I just really adored this one. I thought the acting was pretty incredible. You have a great reunion of the two kid actors from The Visit, M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit, in this movie. Yeah, the Christmas stuff is all around. And it's just one of those that you don't want to spoil, because I think it's like one of the more recent movies that I watched that I was sitting there like, I don't know what to expect from this movie next. I'm excited about this to see like what happens. Kind of got like a little bit of a funny games kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know, I just really dug it, and can't wait to watch it again. Actually, I've only seen it once, surprisingly.
Yeah, this one it's so good. Definitely like one of my new Christmas horror favorites. I don't know what else to say that you guys haven't said and that doesn't ruin the twist, but
Right.
definitely go in blind and check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's on Prime Video and also Shudder, so you have two ways to watch it. All right, and number one, Carrie, what is your number one?
Okay, so my number one might be Hunter and Chad's number one too, but it's really good and I love it. And it's Black Christmas from 1976. I don't know, this one I think we watched it first, like the year December 2020 when we both had COVID. And I don't know, it's really grown on me. We watched it last year as well. I hope to watch it this year too. It's just a really cool throwback slasher movie. There's some great kills. The Christmas theme is really prevalent in like a decent part of the plot. I don't know. And I haven't seen any of the remakes. I heard maybe the 6th one is okay, but they're not really that good. But this one is great. If you like any 70s slasher, like definitely throw this on. This is a classic. And it's directed by, or do you want to say that fun fact?
Sure.
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Black Christmas is, it's great because of like, how groundbreaking it was, what it did for like slasher films. It's like right up there with Halloween. I mean, Halloween I think is way better, but not way better, but it's better. But like Black Christmas came out first. So it's one of those where it's like, They're both kind of like brothers, hand in hand. You
Mm-hmm.
know, bringing out like or like influencing all of horror, and I think it's owed a lot for that. Um, I don't know if I enjoy watching this movie that much. Um, it's definitely horrific, and I think that's probably why. It's just like a lot of kills. That's really great, like stylized though, with like bags and
Mm-hmm.
suffocation and things like that, which is really creepy. And I think it's brilliant that spoiler for Black Christmas, you never really find out who the killer is, which is also very creepy
Mm-hmm.
um, in its own way. But yeah, like, I'm not a huge fan of like, the gross, obscene phone calls that happen and stuff like that.
Really?
A lot of people probably
Really?
think that's really funny. I don't really get it. But it is very horrific. Sorority or whatever getting like, really obscene calls, and it's funny because they like throw it right back, but then they start getting murdered and stuff like that. But yeah, influential. I wouldn't say this is one that I adore like I do something like Halloween or like a Psycho or things like that were groundbreaking, but I actually also really enjoy watching. But maybe the next time it'll grow on me even more because I do acknowledge it's a really great classic, and the fact that Carrie wanted to bring up, but so kindly let me bring up is that Bob Clark directed Black Christmas and A Christmas Story,
Yep.
and which is interesting because you watch them and you go like they kind of feel very similar in like how they're shot and stuff like that. It feels like, but
Mm-hmm.
also like knowing that he's got horror chops. Watching A Christmas Story after that, you start to look at it and you go, okay, yeah, well, Scud Farkus is really really creepy. So there's a
Yep.
lot of really creepy. The way those like prisoners are like jumping into his backyard, the way they move is a little creepy and silly, but it's like, maybe I'm reaching, but I'm like, it's cool that Bob Clark did both of those. He's just got Christmas in his blood, I guess.
Yeah, Bob Clark loves Christmas and loves Christmas movies. Um, yes, indeed, this is my number one. Black Christmas from 1974. Um, yes, I absolutely love this film. I think what's great about it is it starts some of the slasher tropes, but they also kind of turn it on its head because normally in slashers, like the women and the blondes and all that they're kind of the dumb characters. But what's cool is like Black Christmas is pretty much an all female lead cast, and they all feel different, and none of them are like stereotypical. I would say so. They all feel like unique, different characters, and it's got a great cast like Olivia Hussey. Sorry, guys. But yeah, Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder, John Saxton, just those three right there are like powerhouses in this film. I think the way it's shot and the way that it's kind of the POV shots are really scary because again, you don't know who the killer is. And I guess since we're getting into kind of spoiler territory, this film has been out for a long time, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen it. One of my favorite death scenes is the shot where she's getting stabbed with a an ornament. I want to say it's like a was it like a unicorn or something. It's made of porcelain glass. And what's great about that scene is it's chop cut into the Christmas caroler singing. So you have the music in the
Mm,
background, and then it cuts into, and you see the carolers outside. So it feels more like intimidating because it feels like it's in like an enclosed space, and like help is right outside, but they don't know what's going on. So
that's cool.
it adds like a really good like terrifying moment. Like this film to me has a perfect balance of like being super scary but also having really good comedy based around the characters and the dialogue, which I love. Like the house mother is hilarious. I find
Yeah.
all her lines super funny. Olivia Hussey is a really good like final girl. Margot Kidder is a really great actress, and she brings that chops to this film. So yeah, I absolutely love Black Christmas. All right, Chad, it's on you for your number one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna pull a little bit of an audible here, and do one that's like not necessarily a horror movie, but it still has kind of like a lot of the elements that a Christmas horror movie would have. And it's a movie
Okay.
we saw recently, Violent Night.
Oh yeah.
And
I still gotta watch it.
the reason I won't spoil much, but the reason I want to bring this up is because when you watch it, you're like, well, this is more of an action Christmas movie. But the way that kind of like there are kills that happen and stuff, they get really gruesome. So I feel like you can inch it in a little bit into the horror kind of way. It's not like Santa's evil, killing people, naughty, anything like that. But it actually has a really great I don't know, it's just got a really great, like kind of sweet story amidst this whole kind of like Die Hard kind of vibe. So it's like Die Hard meets Silent Night, Deadly Night meets, you know,
Home
Christmas
Alone.
movie. Home Alone. Yeah, Home Alone is
I've
in
gotta
there.
watch this movie now.
You're gonna
It's
love
so
it.
good. It's really good.
And David Harbour is like a really good Santa Claus. He's kind of jaded at the start and stuff like that because he's like, well, all the kids just want video games, they don't give a shit anymore. And it's funny in some ways too. And then he kind of like learns the spirit of Christmas. I won't say much more about that because I don't want to say how it ends or anything like that. But it's really fun. It's really interesting. I really like a lot of the characters. You might go in and you might be like, these characters are terrible and not good acting. But honestly, I think it's part of the point is
The
because they were
charm.
trying to like do kind of like a little bit of a Knives Out kind of vibe where the family's terrible. But I
Ooh.
think like the way they have the actors acting, it's like supposed to be kind of campy on purpose.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really think it's great. It was a really fun theater experience. People were like clapping and stuff during parts, and I can't wait to watch it every year now because it's just a great Christmas movie.
So is that your number one or?
Yeah, I was turning it out as my number one
Oh, okay,
because
nice.
you said better watch out. That was my number one, so I
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to throw in another one.
All right, so I believe that is we're about almost an hour in. Do you guys want to close it out, or do you guys want to talk about a little bit more that we haven't mentioned before we go?
Well, I was gonna say like I could throw out an honorable mention.
Okay.
I don't know if Carrie has any, but I have one at least. The Advent calendar was one that we watched in preparation, and yeah, I think this is one that that actually is on some like lists if you look up Christmas horror, and that's how we found it. And we were like, let's check that one out. It's a foreign movie, correct? Do you
Yeah,
remember
it's
where it's from?
French.
French. Okay. So yeah, it's French. So it has like subtitles, but like in in kind of like a hush kind of way, the protagonist has a disability, and that actually factors into the story. She's in a wheelchair. You find that out like the very beginning of the movie. Um, and she gets an advent calendar that is actually very creepy and does some really creepy things, and it's kind of like a Ouija board in a way. It unfolds with creepy stuff, and there are rules, and just the cinematography and the way that they show the creepy things happening is really great. And I really liked the main actress in the movie. I thought she did a really great job. And yeah, I'd never seen a movie about a creepy advent calendar, and so I think it's very nuanced.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. The other honorable mention I'll throw out is Silent Night, not the Silent
Okay.
Night Deadly Night remake, but Silent Night, I think from last year, 2021 or 2020, but
I think it was 2021.
Has Keira Knightley in it. It has a bunch of
Little baby Jojo Rabbit.
yeah, a bunch of like really pretty famous like British stars. And I would say it's more of a drama with horror elements than a straight
Yes.
horror movie. And it's like, you know, winds up being a pretty sad vibe. But I don't want to say much else about it because a lot of it would be spoilers. I don't want to spoil it for anyone by bringing up even like what it's really about. But it's Christmas themed and has horror elements.
Yeah, I want to say about it, like, I have to watch it again, kind of knowing what it's about and what happens to really see if I actually like this one, because I'll also say it's a slow burn. There's a lot of just like quiet, contemplative scenes where they're just talking, having like a dialogue about like what they want to do about certain things that happen. And yeah, it's really interesting, but it has a really cool ending too. And I'm just sitting there like, you know, the whole time I'm just like waiting for something to happen, kind of like, but it's one of those things where, you know, I don't even want to say if anything really happens or, you know, whatever. You have to find out for yourself, but yeah, it's really cool actually. But I gotta watch it again to see if I actually really like it or not. To be honest.
All right, so I'm gonna say one that you guys can easily like knock me for. Child's Play is technically a Christmas movie. It's centered on Christmas Day. It's about the kid Andy getting Chucky as a Christmas gift.
Yeah, okay.
He opens it up on Christmas and he got snow around it. I'm just joking, but hey, maybe I can make a case for it.
Wait, is it set at Christmas?
It is set at Christmas.
Is it just the first like part of it, or is the whole thing set at Christmas?
I'm pretty sure it's the whole thing because I'm pretty sure it takes place over like
A few days.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's a Christmas movie then.
I'd
have to say why that didn't come up in any of like our horror.
I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. I don't know. He's messing with us, but
I mean, technically, I'm not wrong.
A Christmas present though.
I don't know.
Because his mom can't get him anything for Christmas, and she's worried about that, and then she ends up getting the Chucky doll from an alleyway so he can open it up for Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that happened in the remake too, but I think in the remake it's definitely like a slower progression that happens over time, but maybe not. I can't really remember.
Just to be sure, because it might be for his birthday.
I feel like Christmas sounds right though, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a Christmas gift.
It could sound right, but is
I guess that's true. We gotta do definitely. We have the whole collection. We gotta do a
for his birthday.
Damn it! Yeah. So thing is, his birthday's in December, and I saw snow, so I immediately thought maybe it was a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right. Well, Christmas adjacent.
Definitely, indeed, Christmas adjacent. All right, so that's where we're gonna end it. Chad and Carrie, where can people find you online?
Here.
Check out my channel, Chadwick Webb, where we rank things. We just did our big Disney animated rank, so we did 61 movies. You can't check it out just yet. I don't know if I'll have it up like, you know, when this is airing, but because it's 5.5 hours long. I'll throw that out there.
Put up in the part.
I was thinking about doing that, but I think I'm just gonna throw it out at once, so like big Disney fans can jump in there if they want and watch how much ever they want. I feel like it's more interesting that way than breaking it up. But yeah, it was a blast. You know, we did Star Wars. We're gonna do Quentin Tarantino. We might do like top Christmas movies. We're still working stuff like that out. But yeah, we have fun over there. And then check out my show, Picture This, on my buddy's channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. We have a great time over there talking about Best Picture films. Last month we did 2009 for Avatar: The Way of Water coming out, and this month we did 1946. for It's a Wonderful Life. And then next month, we're doing 1972 because we're starting our series on The Godfather. So it's 1972 January, 1974 in February, and then 1990 in April, because in March we're doing our 2022 thing. Actually, I don't know if I was supposed to like say all of that, to be honest. So maybe cut some of that out, Hunter.
I got you.
Or
Don't
not.
worry.
But
I
it's
got
not a
you.
big deal. No, I think he might have announced the series. It's not a big deal. Either way, just check that out if you can, because it's really fun and we have a good time. And yeah,
I want in on the Tarantino one if possible.
everyone seems to. So
One of my favorite
figure that
directors of
out.
all
We'll figure
I
time.
might
that out.
have like 20 people who said they wanted
All
horror.
right.
We'll see though. I don't know.
Get you on Tarantino. We'll get you on something else very soon. We'll have to do another horror or something like that.
We definitely do. All right, guys. This has been our first ever Christmas episode. Everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's,
Merry Christmas.
Happy
New Year's.
Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. Get them all out there.
Happy Kwanzaa. Happy you don't celebrate anything. Have a good December.
Have a good day, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a nice night.